Right, hello. I'm introducing my friend Julie Dawkins Wardlaw. And we've been friends for a very long time. I was trying to remember
I
how
think I
long.
remember the first memory of you is when you were 6 at ballet. That's just
We took dance together, ballerinas together. Linda's Cafadel
Yes.
many years ago.
yes.
And gosh, we've been friends through the years ever since. We're both in medicine. She's a nurse, and so I've had the pleasure of delivering babies for sweet Julie, and been a sweet friendship through the years. I know her story will be a blessing. Um, it will probably be longer, so it'll have to be on YouTube. If you look at it's just my name, Meredith Travelstead. Please share it because I know it'll touch a lot of people. Great testimony. First, I want to show you her family. This is the Wardlaw family, and that's Russ and 3 girls, Mary Evans, and this is Addie, and that's Maggie, and those are all of her children. So, but there's one not in the picture. So we'll start first with Sarah. This is Julie's firstborn. So you want to just give a little bit of Sarah's story?
Sure. So, became pregnant in early 2003 and had a perfect pregnancy, as you remember. And near the end, I was scheduled to be induced, I believe, on the 21st. And at church on Sunday on the 19th, I had stopped work on the 17th. And I had a crazy dream that, I think it was the day before I stopped work, but I had a crazy dream that I don't know if it was heaven where I went, but where I went, I didn't stay. But there was a girl holding a baby in my dream. And I woke up the next morning and I was so disturbed by that. I was like, what in the world? Like, what are you telling me? And it was scary to me. I didn't know what to think of it, but it did prepare me, I guess, in some ways. But so that was around the 17th or so of October. And then on the 19th, we were at church Sunday evening, and sitting in the pew listening to the sermon on Sunday night church, and I felt this huge kick, and I thought it was labor starting. And so that night we went to eat at my husband's parents' house, and then we went home, got ready to prepare, like whenever the labors, kicked it up a notch. And so I was all ready for that, packed and everything, and then went to bed that night on a Sunday night. And I woke up the next morning in a panic because she didn't wake me up. Labor didn't wake me up. And the nurse in me wanted to overreact, but I tried to just talk myself out of anything being wrong because I did feel movement, but looking back, it wasn't purposeful movement. But so that whole Monday, I felt just this ominous feeling. I felt not excited. I just felt this like nervousness and anxiety inside, and just really how you hear the feeling of impending doom. I felt that. And so, but still, again, everything I read in my little book said that near the end of pregnancy, they don't move as much, they move down in the birth canal. And so I was like, this is crazy, I'm fine. So go to bed Monday night, come to the hospital Tuesday morning, and my husband was videoing me, and still have that video, of course. And I didn't want him to video me because I didn't know what was going on. I just knew something wasn't right, and I just knew in my spirit something wasn't right. So we get here, sit out in the waiting room, and the whole time I just felt like this calm. And I remember going back to the exam room, and I don't know who I told, but I told someone immediately that I said, I don't feel her moving as much. And they immediately took me to the ultrasound. And, I remember just taking a deep breath. And when they started doing the ultrasound, I looked up and I saw that her heart wasn't beating. And I think I said something like, she's not alive, is she? And she said, no, she's not. Or she might have come to get you. I can't remember if you came in there and did that part, or if you came in, but I remember you coming in and just like shock is the word I would say. but in that moment, I remember my husband had a little bit of a seizure at that point. He,
And
I guess, was taking deep breaths, and he's 6'4", and
Russ is medical.
yeah,
He's a nurse anesthetist,
Yeah.
so it wasn't that, it was you
It
and
was-
the stress of the situation.
Yes,
He had
it
a
was-
seizure
Mhm.
in the room
On the
after she
floor.
found out.
Yes.
So we were trying to tend to him,
Yes.
and you were trying to grasp that
yes,
you
like-
had a stillbirth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just remember feeling.
We were trying to get him a huge
Yes, to
Russ
the ER.
to the ER to
Yes.
evaluate him.
Yes. And so I literally was worried about him, but at the same time, the Lord just washed over me with this strength that is just His Holy Spirit. And I remember looking at you and saying, okay, what happens now? What do we do? And it was
Sure
matter of
did.
fact, and it was like, all right, let's do this. Like, whatever I have to do, let's do it. And I remember you telling me you wanted me to try to do labor. And I had wanted to do a natural childbirth, but I remember going to the delivery suite, and the nurse wanted to roll me in a wheelchair, and I wouldn't let her. I wanted to walk. I just wanted to do that, and I just remember that being important to me for some reason. And we get there, and the whole way there, I was feeling this like utter like gut-wrenching feeling for all the staff that had to take care of me, because it is I can't imagine what it was like for all of you to know that the baby that's going to be born is not alive. You already know that from the beginning.
And how could you even be thinking about people around you
Well, as a nurse,
at that time?
I just know how I felt sorry for everyone that had to come take care of me. I really did. And anyway, they were all wonderful. I still remember their names, and of course, but I just remember being matter of fact in that moment. And so we get to the room, and it was 9-something, I think, that morning, and you had clinic, and so I remember not wanting pain medicine, and I just wanted to feel it. I wanted to feel childbirth. I wanted to experience it, and I didn't want to shy away from reality. I wanted to face it head on. And so I didn't progress with labor, and so I just know 5:47 was her time of birth, death, however you look at it.
Right.
But I remember the operating room was silent, and I remember that you brought her over to me, and the most poignant thing about it is when I saw her for the first time, my memory of her is beautiful and pink. And I remember saying, like, she was right here at my right, and I remember saying she's so beautiful, and the Lord is so sweet that He allowed me to see her through His eyes, the way that He sees her, because looking back, she wasn't pink, but my memory, she was pink and beautiful, and I just think it's merciful.
You saw her
That
that
he-
way.
I did. And not until I saw a picture that we took in that room did I even know her color was different. So,
And how did you even make it those days in the hospital and those days going home, and how does one bear that kind of pain?
it's been 17 years, and it's still
Still
it
there.
rocks me to my core. But I just remember just this peace and strength that I knew was not me. I knew it was the Holy Spirit, and the Lord sent godly people up here, and friends from church that we didn't know had a stillbirth. That he sent these little angels that kind of told us, we didn't know to have a funeral. I mean, we didn't. Nobody thinks through that.
Right.
And so just people, He sent people to help guide us, and there were so many people that came that day, and I just can remember them weeping and just gut-wrenching for all of them. Some of them knew us well and some didn't. And I remember before, I think y'all let me recover in my room. If I remember, I didn't recover in the recovery room, but I remember them bringing her to me, and she was wrapped up, and she was in the dress that my mother-in-law had made, and the bonnet, I think from up here, they all had a bonnet on her. And I remember like treasuring those moments, and in the moment it didn't it wasn't like I'm holding this lifeless baby. It was like I'm holding my child for the first and the last time. You know, this side of heaven. I knew that I wouldn't see her again. I remember feeling, I can't do this. I can't give her back. But in that moment, the Holy Spirit overwhelmed me, and I was able to soak in every minute of that, and I was able to hand her off when it was time. And
you said, and I think just when you lose someone close to you, I felt the same thing. It's like you you're so close to eternity, and you feel it. It's like the whole rest of the world shuts down, and you're grabbing hold of eternity, and you said it's a little piece of heaven.
Yeah, I felt like I also have a vivid feeling. Thank you. I have a vivid memory of feeling a bit overwhelmed with the fact that it hit me that she was already with Jesus. She was with Jesus, and she had been with Jesus for 2 days. She had died in church that day, and I didn't know it. And just the gravity of the fact that her spirit was already with him, but yet her body was still in my body. That concept was overwhelming to me. But his grace covered. I mean, you know, there's no other explanation. A human heart cannot. It's too much for a human heart. I mean, it only the power of God can carry you through that process of holding your child, your lifeless child, and knowing that you would never see her again this side of heaven. Soon after that, we were put on the 6th floor, and a very busy evening that night. And I remember so many family and friends, and I'm so thankful for them, and they were all there. And I remember when they left that night, just the gut-wrenching cries and the deep pain that I really have no words for. But in that moment where I remember thinking, I cannot breathe, and this small voice, well, yes you can, because I'm going to do it for you. And that is the closest that I have felt, just the presence. I mean, I feel him with me all the time, but in that moment, I felt his presence. I physically, felt like I could feel his breath on my neck. Like, I knew he was there, present. Not just the hope of him, he was there. It's just, you know, to want her back with me, I feel would be quite selfish, because she's in glory with Jesus. You know, she wouldn't want to come here. And we had to accept that, and drew peace from that very idea that she was where she was supposed to be, and she was, the days of her life were ordained by him before one of them came to be, and that is the way he intended her life to be.
And can you share the story about how her life and your faith influenced others?
Yes. Well, first of all my friends were pregnant at the same time, and I have found great joy in their children, watching them grow up, and, you know, thinking happy thoughts of what would she be doing now, or what would she look like. And I don't know where I was going.
You were a nurse in the ER.
Yes,
and how
yes.
did you go back to work?
Okay, so I found that very difficult. I went back. I was in the children's clinic at university when I was pregnant with her. Then after that, I didn't feel like I could go back. So I had previously worked in the ER for 7 years, so I went back to the children's ER, which was not a great decision looking back, but I worked there for I think a year, and they let me be off work for 8 weeks, and I'm grateful for that time off. And then anyway, dealing with what we deal in the ER, I found it near to impossible to function as I should. And you know, we have had codes, and children die, babies die, and I just couldn't. I wasn't in a very, I wasn't in a place where I was strong enough to do that. And my brother even was working with me at the time, and he said, you need to get out of here. So I made the wise choice to go work in a children's clinic where I gave baby shots to newborns. I mean, I don't know why I thought that was a great idea, but I wanted to work for this particular doctor, and I thought he was amazing, and he is, and the whole clinic is. And one of the sweet doctors there, after I think I was there for about 6 months, and I knew I wasn't myself. And I also remember you offered me medicine. I was like, no, I'm good. I wanted to not, I wanted to grieve appropriately. I wanted to,
all the way through.
I wanted to do it. And I wanted to, not do it right the first time, but I didn't want to have to, not remember what I did. And I don't know. But a sweet doctor said, you're depressed and you need to get help. And I didn't know how depressed I was, but I was. So anyway,
but how there was someone that watched you.
Well, a girl I worked with in the ER, about the time that it would have been Sarah's first birthday, the Lord allowed me to find out that by watching how he carried us, watching how he took care of us and what he did for us, she came to Christ. And I found it just overwhelming that he allowed me to find that out, because I might have never known, but he allowed me to know that around her first birthday. And that's a gift.
It was like, here, Julie.
It's
It's
like,
just a comfort
this is,
to know that
like one soul.
her little life, as heart-wrenching as it was to lose her, brought another to glory.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
And how many more people because of that person?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
so
beautiful.
I'm grateful to even know that,
And how about Mary Evans? Was she planned?
Yes, how funny you should ask. We had felt the call to adopt prior to having Sarah. So that was on our radar already, and the Lord had prepared our hearts for that. And I was full force ready for that, because I didn't want to be pregnant again. And, we didn't know what happened to her. That we didn't have any answers at that time. And so we just, healed, took time and healed, and then tried for many years to get pregnant, and had secondary infertility. Didn't know that was even a thing. And that so much came through that, and from that, the struggle with getting pregnant, after getting pregnant so easily. And then, there's no telling what was going on in my body, in my, in my mind, and that would have prevented pregnancy in the first place. But the stress and anxiety of it all. But it took many years, and we got pregnant again in 2006, and at 10 weeks lost that baby. And we were living in Birmingham at the time. I knew no one, but the Lord provided a doctor. And anyway, we went for one visit, saw her, saw the heartbeat, and I don't remember how much time after that, but I was 10 weeks when we lost that baby. And really, again, rocked me to my core, and I was like, okay, I don't even know what's up and down. I was working as a travel nurse in the outpatient surgery there while Russ was in grad school, and I took a full-time job there to work until we finished, and depression got me again, and I felt like I wanted to come home. And so we did. We moved back to Clinton, and I got my old job back in the clinic. Wonderful people that surrounded us, with just every step of the way, kind to give me a job back. And anyway, so he commuted that last semester of school. And anyway, I remember, so during that time that we were trying to get pregnant, everyone knew that we were willing to adopt. Didn't care what color, didn't care what they looked. I didn't care boy or girl, just didn't care. A heartbeat, that's all. I didn't care. It wasn't apathy, it was just arms wide open, heart wide open, and through that time, many years, probably I would say 20 phone calls from well-meant phone calls. Hey, we know about this baby, would you want them? Well, every time we said, of course, yes. And every time the door shut. And and it went over a period of years, so it was devastating each time, you know. And someone even actually moved here up to where we live, and we were going to adopt her baby, went to the doctor with her. It was a girl, and she skipped town. I mean, it was like, are you kidding? So at one point I remember crying out to God, and it was in the spring of '07, and I cried out to God, and I was like, please can these phone calls stop, please, like I can't take it, please. And also around that time, I just remember just audibly saying, I surrender the fear of getting pregnant again. I surrender having children, not having children. I surrender it all. And it was healing for me to say that. Even though I had many years, I mean, you know, I surrendered it daily. But in that moment, I felt that it was important enough for me to scream it out. Like, I surrender it all. And I think I was pregnant when I said that and didn't know it. And so how amazing is that? And
God's
then
timing.
yes. And then I believe I was 7 weeks pregnant when I came back to you. And to say I was anxiety filled was, you know, might be an understatement. But you walked us through that beautifully, and the Lord worked
beautiful
in
Mary
you.
Evans.
She's a sweet baby, and we're grateful to have her. Very grateful.
And then what?
And then, so a few years passed, and when she was around 2, we started pursuing adoption.
Because you always had that heart.
I
for
did.
adoption.
I did know, and I honestly believed that our family would not be the same color.
And God gave you that early on, but look at these precious babies. So, birth child and 2 adopted children. So Maggie was next, African American.
Yes.
And you fostered her.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
So after going through many agencies, like pursuing each one, the door shut with all of them, a friend called and said, we know the little boy, we know his family, and we want y'all to try to get him. And we were like, okay, like, how do you get him? And he was in foster care, so we started down that road. And it took us about a year to get licensed, and by the time we were licensed, he was already in another home. And so in that moment, instead of like walking away, the Lord just told us, stay the course, just stay. And so we felt like that was our resting place for adoption, was through foster care. And it was a very overwhelming feeling to know that that's where this is how it was going to go down. And so
you were really being obedient.
Well,
because it's kind of scary.
It is very scary.
And a lot of hoops to jump through.
Yes. Yeah, and potential heartache too along the way, which that was a total, you know, we could have many episodes of this, Meredith. But
yes.
How he carried us down that road. But so we first started where they knew at DHS that we, you know, they knew we'd lost a baby. They knew that we wanted children we could adopt. But, you know.
And you weren't seeking a black child, a white child, a biracial child.
No, we didn't have a preference. And down
tell the story about the letters from Bethany Christian Services.
Oh yeah, a wonderful agency. We you know, walked down that road a bit and actually met with them, and they, you know, after the initial meeting, we got a letter in the mail, and it said, you know, thank you for pursuing adoption through Bethany Services, and you will receive a letter. Notice, like, basically they're putting us on a waiting list that lasts at least a year to even get like information. And then we get another letter from Bethany, and I thought that was odd, but it said, welcome to Bethany Services. We are in need of parents for black and biracial infants. And I was stunned. I was like, you know, for us, it was a clear answer that there was no preference of race. And so
the first letter was if you
for
wanted
a white child,
and your waiting list was a year.
Yeah.
And then God said, here's the other need we have.
Yes.
And it's biracial and African American. It was like it just confirmed.
It did, and that was when Miriam's was around 2 that we did that with Bethany, and then at one morning we were going to walk through that and tried to research, families who had adopted different races and how that affected their family, how it affected the child. We tried to be very, to gain as much knowledge as possible to make a wise decision, or to prepare us. We knew the decision wasn't ours, but we wanted to be prepared. And then at some point, shortly after that, I woke up and I felt the stop sign. I just felt a stop sign. That may sound crazy, but I did. So we stopped. And that after that is when we were led to Bethany. I meant to foster care.
Foster care.
And that road is not an easy road, but it is a necessary road. Maggie, our first adopted child, she's now 11. We got her when she was 2 years and 10 months old. We were her third foster home. She was available for adoption when we got her. And so you would think that would be simple. She stays 6 months and then we can adopt her. But that was not how it went down. She was actually moved back to her original foster home because they wanted her back. They were her same race, and so that was allowed. And it was gut-wrenching. She had been with us for 3 months. And I mean, there's so much that went on with all that, and there's wonderful people at DHS, and our direct workers were devastated. And anyway, so I kept in touch with the worker. I was told that, Julie, you're not gonna be happy about this, but where she is, there's too many kids there. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So we just began to pray, Lord, if you want her to be our child, if we are her parents, bring her back. And so 3 months passed, and she came back. October 25th, I went to get her, and it was so sad to me. I walked in there, and I had to go pick her up, and all of her things were in a bag. We had sent everything with her, and I also learned that we have a voice in the foster care system, and we didn't know to use that voice. We wanted to follow the rules, and we did, but there's also a voice that is an empowering voice that you need to use and to advocate for these children. And so anyway, so she came back, and when I went to get her, she looked disheveled, like she was homeless. Really, she did. I have a picture of it, and I was stunned. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around that, but I just was grateful that the Lord brought her back. And I knew it wouldn't be easy because the 3 months we had her were not easy. We were afraid that maybe she wasn't attaching to us or bonding, and I took her to a counselor, and he happened to be a African-American man, and he said the most poignant thing to me, that he said, why are you here? And I said, well, we just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. Like, we just we don't want her to be 14 and resent us because we're white.
Right.
We want to make sure we're not doing something selfish because we don't have a preference. Do the children that grow up in white homes, do they care?
Right.
Do they look at you like, really?
Why
You couldn't find me a black family? So anyway, but that man said to me, he said, ma'am, he said, let me tell you a story. He told me a story. His father was at a convention, and he was in the swimming pool. And he said he was out there alone. His father was not with him. He was by himself. He said, and he had gotten too far down in the deep end, and he was drowning, and he knew it. And he said this white leg came by him, and he caught onto it, and the other child pulled him to the shallow end. And he said, ma'am, I can tell you that when you're drowning, you don't care what color the hand is that saves you. And that comment from him, was confirming that, okay, this is not a selfish desire of ours to not have a preference of race. This is just the way God intended our family to be.
Right.
And
And Maggie was drowning.
Yes, she was. Yes. And I'm very grateful that he brought her back. It's crazy, but it's been a crazy road, but I remember grieving that I couldn't be black for her. That may not make sense, but to me it did. I as she's gotten older, I don't remember what age she was when I really felt like, and I think I even told her, I said, I'm so sorry, I can't be a black mama for you. I can only be a mama. That's all I know how to be. I'm not trying to be a white mom.
And we're talking practical things,
I mean,
like
yes.
doing her hair.
Yes, Lord, yes. The hair, I mean,
how long does it take you to do your
it
hair?
takes a long time. Well, I've gone to many salons and asked many questions, and people have stopped me and just given their advice, which is fine too. That's all fine.
Don't do it like that.
No, don't. And are those all three your kids? Yes, they are. They are.
They
Just
are.
yesterday shopping.
Really?
Oh yes. Maggie goes, Mama, did you hear her? I said, I did. She asked if we were all family. Yes, we are. But the hair, beautiful hair. I love doing hair, but it got me. Like, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this no matter what. And so I did her box braids for the first time, and it literally took me 9 hours. And I'm pretty confident in the hair department, but not anymore. Like, that tossed me for a bit. But I've gotten it down to about 3 hours now, and it just simply was important to me to know how to do her hair. It's important. It's bonding for African American women and daughters, from what I read and hear from other people, that it is a bonding experience. And I was determined, I'm going to tackle this hair, and it's going to look pretty. And just this year in 5th grade, did one of her classmates actually say, your hair looks so pretty, your braids are so pretty, who did that? And Maggie said, my mama did. And she goes, no. Maggie was like, yeah, she really did. And I was like, you go back to school and you tell your little friend that I sure did your hair. All 3 hours of it.
That's right.
So
I love it.
a journey.
And just talking about that, can you share Maggie's salvation and what that means to you?
So she, we talk very honestly in our home. We talk about race, we talk about everything. And the questions they ask about adoption, we answer them. And so she had, known that the Lord saved her from a life that would not have been a life. And that, that he protected her and guided her through her mom's pregnancy, and saved her life. And I believe that she came to Christ at age 7, and I know that it was from understanding us adopting her into our family. She understood Christ adopting her, and that she was his child first and foremost. And I just know that her adoption process and story prepared her little heart to understand the depths of that. And
we're all adopted in.
Yeah.
We're all adopted in.
Right.
And she sees it so vividly.
She does.
That's beautiful. And I know you've gotten a little pushback with blacks and whites both ways.
Yeah.
Looking at your family and saying that's not how it should be.
Right. Yeah.
And what's your response to that?
Well, I've had many. Initially I was really frustrated by, I'm like, why are people being mean to me? Like, she needed a home, we wanted a child, it was a perfect fit. And I also had, these weren't great thoughts, but early on I was like, I didn't see you in line at foster care to get her. Like, you weren't there, so quit being mean to me.
Right.
White and black, it didn't matter.
Right.
I just remember feeling frustration, like, why the anger? Like, I don't understand why there's anger there.
Right.
Why are white people angry at me because we have a black child? Why are black people angry at me because we have a black child?
Right.
I don't think I can do it better. I'm just there. We were willing,
Just willing.
and so it's been a process. Like I said, it's been 7 years that we've adopted her, and I feel like I know the Lord has used her to reach people. I know he's used the fact that we are a mixed race family, and there's been lots of topics and lots of things, and with public school and it's awesome where we go to school, and but the kids make fun of her, and so she's had to deal with things that it's like, why? But anyway, she's a strong little girl.
And I told Julie that this reminds me of Revelation 5, around the throne room of God, where the Lamb takes the scroll and the 24 elders fall down and worship the Lamb, and they sang a new song saying, you are worthy to take the scroll and to open the seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased us for God from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made us to be kingdom and priests to serve our God, and we will reign on the earth. It's all,
It is.
He redeemed all of us.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
all in that family.
Yes.
We're all adopted in.
Yes.
And your family's a beautiful picture.
Oh.
And we can't forget Addie.
Yeah, Addie.
How did Addie come to the family?
So Maggie came back October 25th of 2013, and it was a hard transition. And anyway, January of 2014, we get a call from DHS where we take a newborn, and my husband was like, "It's a newborn." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm 42. I don't think so." And he was like, and we knew, longer story, we had her brothers for a short time while Maggie was gone. Full circle. Didn't know.
Wow.
They didn't know where. It's a long story.
I didn't know that.
I didn't want to like convolute it even more, but yeah, we had her brothers while Maggie was gone. They only stayed 2 weeks, and they had to go to a therapeutic home. That was not our choice, but it was the best thing for them and for our family. So Maggie comes back. The transition with that was tough. She was 3 at that point, 3.5 actually, and it was, the Lord was merciful. And so January, we get a call, would we take a newborn? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, it's their sister. And I was like, yes, we will take her. Because we knew that the situation the boys were in, that she would never go back home.
Path.
We knew she would never go back home.
Right.
Because of what they lived through. And because it's very delicate when you take a newborn through foster care, because there's a process, there's a time frame, there's all these things, and a lot of things can happen. People can come out of the woodwork, and it is important that they find the right family for these children. And certainly if there is family that can take them, that is sometimes best, but not always.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came. We had 1 day notice, nothing like chaos. And I mean, seriously, it was crazy, and it stayed crazy, but it's beautiful chaos. It's just our family, it's our life. And ADHD, and wow. I mean, seriously, it's been crazy, but it has been to see the hand of God in their lives. And like, I feel unworthy to be their mom. I don't feel, there are many days where I'm like, Lord, you told me you would carry me through anything. You carried us through burying a child. Please carry us through raising this sweet family that it's very difficult at times to function outside. Our home is a sanctuary, but outside of our home, the arrows fly.
The arrows.
Literally. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, I need to feel your presence, because I'm struggling. Like, what in the world? I am not strong enough to do this.
What goes on in the grocery store?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anywhere. People are very will say anything to me, and it's not all bad, but at the same time, I've had to learn to handle it with grace instead of wanting to say something back, like of course they're my children, because I understand there's a lack of understanding, and so for me to get mad at that is really not appropriate. So I've had to walk down that road of, they just don't understand. White and black, they just don't understand. And
your family is the gospel. It's like, here it is. This is how God loves us.
Yeah.
Regardless of our color.
Yeah. Oh yes. And to me it's very simple. Just love people. Just love each other. Like, that is as simple as it is. It's not, political issues. It's love. It is, and I'm not being,
love as Jesus.
Yes, just to love them. And a lack of understanding, and I don't claim to understand clearly because I have a black child. I don't understand anything more because of that. My love for other people is not, I don't love black people because my child is black. I love all people because I just love them, period. And so I just, I don't understand, the problem sometimes that people have. I think things from the past shape how people think, and but just because that's the way things were doesn't mean that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's right. And so I remember telling friends or family, like, they were like, this is going to be hard for y'all, this is going to be hard for her. I'm like, okay, so it's going to be hard no matter where she lives, because she doesn't have a home.
It's
So
a lot harder for her
I might not be the best mom, but I'm better than nothing. So, some
We're
days
starting at the bar.
I mean, yeah. So I'm like, I just think it should be simple. I think that I just think that love does conquer all, and I'm not saying that to be cheesy. It does. People ask me, so do your girls, they play together? Yes, because they're sisters. You know, I just want to say, of course they do. They're sisters and they love each other. And
they don't see.
No. Sometimes they're
sisters.
fighting like three cats in a sack, and some days they're huddled up like three puppies on the couch. I mean, they are normal sisters because they don't, you know, to say they don't see color would be not fair, because of course they know they're different colors, but they're just different colors of the same, they're just different shades of the same color.
Right.
You know, they're just darker tones.
I love it.
You know, it really is. It's just very simple.
So beautiful. And Sarah would be graduating this year.
Yes.
So kind of a milestone.
Yeah. That in the past few months it kind of overwhelmed me a bit to think that it's here. Like it's been 17, almost 18 years, and it feels like it was yesterday. And you know, since she was a baby, since she was born, you know, as time went on, we knew that we wanted to do something in her memory at some point. I wish we had the money to pay for someone's college, but that's, the Lord is just leading us to be connected with someone that is going through their senior year, and we're being prayerful about that, to who the Lord connects us with, strictly for the purpose of being there for a child who doesn't have a family, that can walk through their senior year with them. And it's not to replace her or anything like that. It's not that at all. It's strictly, we want to do something in her memory, and it's important. And you know, our hearts are open about it. We don't know where that's going to go, but we know that that's where our heart's desire is. And
so sweet.
Prayerful about who He brings into our life.
I asked Julie to share some verses that carried her through, special verses that mean a lot to her, and I just want to close with those. Psalm 139:16. Your eyes have seen my unformed body, and in your book were all written the days that were ordained for me, when as yet there was not one of them. That's Sarah, right? Yeah. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not anxiously look about you, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Surely I will help you. Surely I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Excuse me. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and discipline, sound mind. Psalm 18:2. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. Psalm 30:5. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may last for the night, but a shout of joy comes in the morning. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.